You're listening to Your Brain on Air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
Estàs escoltant el teu cervell en directe. El programa començarà en breu. Gaudeix net.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I'm your host, Ollie Vogt Larson. How easy do you think it's going to be to convert aliens to Christianity? Like when they land, materialize, however they travel, when they warp in front of us, how quickly do you think we're going to be able to get them to study Acts or even like just the Old Testament? Because imagine it from their perspective. You land your spaceship, whatever you travel on. You're on a planet of presumably lesser intelligent beings. You've studied their planet from afar for maybe years at this point. You finally land and you talk to the first major contact specialist. Do you think they're going to go, okay, so first things first. We have these books down here that explain what we think has been going down here for the last 3,000 or so years. We're going to need you to tell us who you think is right out of all of us. You know what I mean? We have these collections of dusty carpenters, these shamans, these rabbis bumbling around the Middle East and the old world. Tell us which one of them you think was right. Which one do you think got the creation story correct? And the 7-foot-tall Nordic aliens are just going to look down at you and go, what do you mean creation story? Where were we mentioned in your books? You guys don't realize, you wrote this in Plato's cave. You were watching shadows dancing on the wall. You didn't even know about fourth dimensional beings at that point. You didn't know what demons, you thought demons were like these forces that were malevolently sent by the devil. Bro, those are just fourth dimensional beings that walk by you. The things that you guys think are ghosts are emanations of third dimensional creatures reliving their past lives, whatever. It's going to be tough for them to explain it to us. This issue, it might be big for the people who believe in the Bible, and I'm just going to be honest with you. There are some good lessons that we might be able to take from it, but maybe we don't need these bishops, these popes to guide your heart. Regardless, ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Massey, I know this is barely a transition. I'm not going to bother with one today because it just matters that he's gone, ladies and gentlemen. Member of the Order of Demolay, as he is, it still was nice to see him in Congress somewhat fighting for the people, demanding the release of the Epstein files, demanding further unredactions, and also taking on the car switch bill, which would have enabled the government to shut down your car if they think that you haven't gotten enough sleep. Folks, call us Sum 41 because we're in too deep and we're trying to keep up above in our head instead of going under, but it's too late. Listen, folks, I want to talk about the DOJ. I want to talk about the situation with Thomas Massey. There's so much we need to discuss today. I'm not going to bother with Neil deGrasse Tyson, alleged sex offender, talking about how aliens are on their way. It doesn't matter to me. His opinion doesn't matter to me. I want to talk about Thomas Massey and how he's gone and how the DOJ, the IRS, has forever barred from auditing the Trump family or himself, any of his companies. Folks, this is the moment that you hear the door slam, you realize there's nowhere left to run. You feel his cold hand and wonder if you'll ever see the sun. You close your eyes and you hope that this is just imagination, but all the while you hear him and his sons creeping up behind you. You're out of time. Folks, this is a thriller night, but it's real. There is an unprecedented legal settlement that has just sent shockwaves through Washington this week. The Department of Justice officially barred the Internal Revenue Service from pursuing any existing audits or tax claims against President Donald Trump, his family, and the Trump Organization. In a one-page addendum released Tuesday, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche declared the government forever barred and precluded from reviewing or prosecuting any tax returns filed by the Trump family and their affiliated businesses prior to the agreement. Legal experts and former tax officials are calling the move entirely without precedent, marking the first time in modern history that the executive branch has immunized a sitting president from ongoing financial scrutiny by federal tax authorities. Now, I know when I read this, it's tough because I'm never the type to catastrophize. I never want to say that it's all over. I am now in the position where I go, this is not fun that we have to cover something unprecedented. This is not great. I mean, it's typical for the Trump administration pushing the limits, but even this, no one really thought that there was a chance. A lot of people thought that there was a chance, definitely so. But in all honesty, did I think that this was going to happen? I'm so open and honest that I'm willing to say no. I was taken aback. Ladies and gentlemen. The extraordinary deal was struck to resolve a massive $10 billion lawsuit that the president filed against the IRS earlier this year. The suit stemmed from a highly publicized 2020 leak of his confidential tax documents by a rogue government contractor, which Trump claimed represented a systematic failure by the agency to safeguard his privacy. The DOJ officials clarify that the new Forever Bar only immunizes tax returns that have already been filed, leaving future filings subject to normal scrutiny. Is that what anybody cares about? Is there anybody going like, okay, I guess if it's all his future tax returns are allowed to be scrutinized, it doesn't really matter that he's saying, don't look in my past whatsoever. If Biden were to do this, I'm just going to say it, people's heads would be spinning. The agreement is effectively wiping away a complex long-running audit that independent analysts estimate could have cost the billionaire president more than $100 million. So that entire audit is just shut down. The audit shield is tied to a broader, equally controversial settlement announced Monday, which establishes a $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund, financed entirely by American taxpayers. So listen, I know many people were sitting there eagerly at home. They were going, how can I help President Trump? I got to help him. God, it's like I was sitting at home too, and I was like, Hamas, I got to do what I can. Seriously, I have to donate my dollars. Hamas, I have to help them out. Israel, the genocidal government, I have to help the Israeli settlers. Every person in their hearts at home was thinking this. They're going, how can I help the billionaires avoid responsibility for the children that they slay, that they rape, that they throw into Lake Michigan? And thank God, our government finally has, first of all, they were stealing your tax dollars, sending them to God knows where. Many people don't realize they're getting raped every single day via their tax dollars. It's perfectly fine. And I know that people are going to go, you shouldn't use the word rape for that. Rape refers to snatching, stealing away something. So rape, I feel like, is a perfectly decent word to use in this context, because admittedly, it's going to the rape of young people. That is inadvertently where all this money is going to. There are 15 Epstein Islands out there right now. There's ones on land, there's ones on ranches, there's ones everywhere. There's probably one like 5 minutes away from where you live right now by plane. And how else do you think they keep this network going, ladies and gentlemen? The fund is designed to offer monetary compensation to individuals who allege they were victims of political lawfare and unfair prosecutions under the previous administrations. The fund will be managed by a select committee of 4 or 5 individuals who can be fired at will by the president. How nice. Prompting furious backlash from Capitol Hill. Democrats are fiercely condemning the dual-pronged agreement, with Senator Patty Murray slamming it as an outrageous, corrupt slush fund. Absolutely. Designed to enrich the president's allies while shielding his personal finances from the law. This was the plan, folks. This was the plan from the get-go, apparently. You know what I mean? I'm going to be so honest with you. I'm going to just lay it out right here. Did I expect him to give himself $10 billion? Of course not. I didn't see that he was going to get his full settlement. Did I foretell the idea that maybe the government would create a carve-out committee for him to start to pass out those dollars to anybody who just makes a claim, and then those select individuals that he has pre-selected either approve or disapprove those motions for our money? That seems a little more Trumpian. I can see that. I can see that one coming out. I can see that kind of coming to fruition. Am I happy about it? Of course not. But it's it's the organized, much more Jewy way of stealing people's money, where it's like, well, there's a loophole here. Why wouldn't you want us to take advantage of it? The administration has fiercely maintained that the fund is a necessary tool to inject accountability into weaponizing the justice system, and the sight of a sitting president settling a personal lawsuit with his own appointed Justice Department has critics calling it the most brazen act of executive self-dealing in American history. Listen, should we be panicking about it? Probably not. Does this mean that we're going to be taken out into the gulag and shot today? Probably not, ladies and gentlemen. But when it comes to this versus camps, the fact that we have to compare is not great. You know what I mean? The fact that we have to go, well, would you rather be in a gulag? Would you rather be doing all of that stuff? Well, I'm not happy about this either. I'm not happy about this slush fund going to any person that he deems worthy either. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear a little bit about this from the mainstream media, then we'll get into Thomas Massey.
Now, President Trump and his taxes, and the extraordinary order now from the Justice Department, now barring the IRS from investigating President Trump, his sons, and their companies.
Of course.
The Trump administration also defends tonight the Justice Department's new fund, paid for by taxpayers, $1.8 billion.
And by the way, this was callable from the onset of him coming into office, that eventually there would be some sweeping action. Now, did I think it would come in this form? No. I'll admit, I didn't see this exact situation coming. Did I kind of in my mind's eye foretell him like going, oh, you can't investigate my children, my businesses. There are certain things that I'm just going to throw out of, like, I control the DOJ. I'm just going to throw it out of court. I'm going to Hunter Biden the situation where I'm going to shut down perfectly valid investigations just because they are my family or they're me. That was callable, ladies and gentlemen.
To compensate Trump allies, including some January 6 defendants. Here's Jonathan Karl.
Because we know they need money.
Tonight, in an extraordinary move, the Justice Department declared the IRS is, quote, forever barred and precluded from auditing President Trump, his family, his oldest sons, and their companies, or pursuing any claims for past actions. It's part of the unprecedented settlement after President Trump dropped his $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS. The deal was orchestrated by the head of the DOJ, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, who is Trump's former personal attorney. Blanche faced tough questions on Capitol Hill today.
You're the president's consigliere.
Your perspective is completely wrong, Senator.
Well,
respectfully.
I think the facts will prove me right.
The president's settlement also creates a nearly $1.8 billion fund, taxpayer money, to pay for Trump allies or anyone else who claims they were mistreated by the Biden Justice Department. It's a group that includes the roughly 600 people charged with obstructing or assaulting police on January 6th.
Will individuals who assaulted Capitol Hill police officers be eligible for this fund?
Well, as it makes plain,
Just let me know if they're eligible for the fund.
anybody in this country is eligible to apply if they believe they're a victim of representation.
I want to apply. Hold up. Wait a minute. I've gotten parking tickets that I think are bullshit from the city of Fargo. Can I fight them on that? I've been targeted by the fucking Tim Mahoney administration ridiculously.
If they believe they're a victim of representation.
The White House.
Just because it has a blue man sitting in a chair doesn't mean that I could be the person sitting in that chair. You don't know what I'm disabled with. I can just talk to you and you would assume that I have something.
Followed up with Vice President J.D. Vance. I assume you're not going to apply. You don't think you should get money out of this fund. So isn't it just as easy to say that people that attacked police officers should not get taxpayer money from this fund?
Well, look, John, we're not trying to give money to anybody who attacked a police officer. We're trying to we're trying to compensate people.
Compensation. What is this conservative bullshit on compensation? We want to talk. Listen, I'm one of these people that's against reparations. I think it's a horrible idea that honestly just excuses people's laziness and cultural issues. And now all of a sudden conservatives get all handsy with the idea that, the people's money. It's to help service those that have been disadvantaged by the United States government. This is the inversion of the black money ring that people are trying to do on the left. It's ridiculous. Go ahead.
The book was thrown at them. They were mistreated by the legal system. We do have people who were accused of attacking law enforcement officers. That doesn't mean that we're going to completely ignore some of the claims that they're going to make.
It's a very complex building. It comes as Republicans are trying to set aside another $1 billion in taxpayer money for President Trump's new ballroom. They say it's for security. The president taking reporters on a tour of the construction site today.
Why is Congress?
Congress is approving money for security. Some of it may go here for additional security. I don't know.
I don't know.
A $1.8 billion fund, some of which could go to people who attacked the Capitol building on January 6th. It's not just Democrats who don't like it. Senate Republican leader John Thune said today, quote, "I am not a big fan."
I'm not a big fan. That is a striking takedown, ladies and gentlemen. Well, at least it doesn't affect any of their future legal cases. Let's wait until the first Eric Trump administration for the forever ban on ever coming for any of his family. This will be in the future, ladies and gentlemen. For now, this covers all of their past audits. So if you were hoping for any level of responsibility for your world leaders, that's silly of you. In all honesty, that's just like, what, have you not seen the game yet, ladies and gentlemen? I understand. I understand we want to hope that there is a world of justice that is out there. It's not run by decent thinking individuals most of the time. It's run by people who service higher powers that they don't even understand. They service groups that they've been going to since they were like 12 years old, that their parents maybe have gotten them into. These are people that have been going to like Order of Demolay, Freemasonic rituals, all this sort of stuff since the age of maybe 18. If you don't believe me, I'm just wait until we talk about the bullshit that they dropped on The Boys. Okay, by the way, The Boys show is finally over, by the way. The controlled opposition TV show clearly made by people that have a lot of shit on their minds. The show's over. Spoilers alert. Ready? Okay, ready? I recommend skipping like 5 minutes if you actually care. I don't. I Googled the ending, but whatever. Spoilers. Homelander's dead. He was stripped of his powers, all that bullshit before getting stabbed in the head. It was pretty lame. I'm going to be honest. None of this matters to me. What does matter to me is that many people are having hidden messages and meanings thrown right in front of their faces and probably not even noticing them. First of all, I just want to mention the side thing about a former IDF soldier, the Israeli Defense Force, if you don't know what IDF means. A gentleman, he's playing someone named Frenchie on the television show. On Season 5, Episode 6, a side character we've never met before appears, and in the first 2 minutes of him being introduced, he says this exact line, quote, "Miriam Leibowitz, I met her at a B'nai B'rith Purim carnival. They specifically wanted him to mention this, a holiday called Purim. What is Purim? A Jewish holiday celebrating the killing of Amalek. What is Amalek? You may be asking, good goyim. Amalek, or otherwise known as the Amalekites, is an ancient nomadic tribe described in the Hebrew Bible as an archetypal, irreconcilable army against the Israelites, an enemy to them, really. They're descended apparently from Esau, Isaac's son in the Hebrew Bible, and they're historically known for attacking the vulnerable rear of the Israelites that were fleeing from Egypt. And the other thing mentioned by him is B'nai B'rith International. B'nai B'rith is a Freemasonic organization that is specifically Jewish, founded in New York City by 12 German Jewish Freemasons. B'nai B'rith has been called by many a covert intelligence front for the House of Rothschild and has gained a lot of momentum and traction with members of the United States government. If you don't know, Simon Wolf, a Jewish lawyer, politician, and member of B'nai B'rith, along with other secret societies, he was a close friend of Abraham Lincoln. Yes, that Abraham Lincoln, not many of those walking around these days. And he was friends with, this is just nuts, John Wilkes Booth as well. Simon Wolf actually held a meeting with John Wilkes Booth one afternoon, just this random day, April 14th, 1865. Later that night, John Wilkes Booth famously interrupted a performance of Our American Cousin by assassinating Abraham Lincoln. That's a nutty coincidence. Simon Wolf was planning to attend the performance that night, but suddenly decided against so because he said that he had there was family illness or something. The bullet, by the way, that they had that killed Lincoln still to this day hasn't been 100% confirmed to have belonged to the gun that Booth had, a 44 caliber cap and ball Philadelphia Derringer. But the bullet, though, pulled from Lincoln's head was a 41 caliber. In 1958, Congress passed a law with the help of B'nai B'rith to make it illegal for American businesses on American soil to boycott Israel. Today, 38 states still have these laws on their books. B'nai B'rith, also, if you don't know, was fundamental in creating the ADL, or the Anti-Defamation League. Many people don't even know where this organization comes from, because many people just, they accept the world that was presented to them on a platter, and they just don't think, quite honestly. But because the president of B'nai B'rith, Atlanta's Lodge, Leo Frank, if you're not familiar with this story, Leo Frank was like I said, president of the B'nai B'rith Atlanta Lodge. He murdered a little girl named Mary Fagan during Passover, and they say that he was blamed due to anti-Semitism rather than his, animalistic ways. Leo Frank was then re-elected president of B'nai B'rith Atlanta while he was in prison for the little girl's murder. The ADL has since been caught illegally spying on on Americans on behalf of Israel, censoring free speech, and threatening Americans who dare speak out against Israel or Zionism. B'nai B'rith has also created other organizations like Hillel, a college campus-oriented indoctrination program, and in 2016, Hillel worked with the Israeli government on a $66 million initiative called the Mosaic International to promote pro-Israel sentiment in the United States. Hillel also has been funded by the Israeli Ministry of Diaspora Affairs for its work on U.S. campuses. In fact, when it comes to shuffling money around illegally, Hillel actually violates FARA a lot more so than if you don't know what FARA is, Foreign Agents Registration Act, you can look it up yourself, more so than AIPAC does. They violate this more. It does say something. B'nai B'rith also, like many Freemasonic organizations, has youth outreach programs like AZA, or AZA, or Aleph Zadik Aleph, and or BBG, which is B'nai B'rith Girls. And if you don't know, Mark Cuban and Adam Sandler were both belonging to this group called Aleph Zadik Aleph, and it consisted of them as members. Chaim Weissman, if you don't know, the first president of Israel, was also president of the Manchester B'nai B'rith Lodge, and B'nai B'rith was a core to the plan for the creation of the State of Israel. They were core to the Rothschild-Balfour Declaration, and they initiated the modernization of Hebrew in Jerusalem to create the false ancestral claim to the land of Palestine. Sigmund Freud also was in B'nai B'rith. If you don't know who that is, that's tough. He was a part of their Austria's lodge, and he presented some of his earliest ideas of psychology there. So if you thought that you were free of religion, you thought you were so much better than all these Christians, all these Jewish people, all these Islamic people. Look at how crazy they look. I believe in science. I'm free from religion just because I think Christians are nuts. If you believe in therapy or modern psychology, I highly recommend you stop holding on to that priesthood that you're so dedicated to. What priesthood do you think I'm mentioning? Therapists, psychologists, and psychiatrists. All of them get their dogma from Freud and Freemasonic understandings. The Jewish guy who said everybody wants to fuck their parents is one of the I'm just going to be honest with you. This is the type that doctors are relying on. What is real anymore, guys? I've just revealed all this stuff to you. And if you saw that episode of The Boys that night and you just heard him say the B'nai B'rith reference, it probably just flew over your head. You probably just went, oh, funny name. That's what they do. Does anybody get the core of this, actually, the whole aspect of the world of the occult? Many people don't seem to understand. They're like, why would they hide everything in plain sight? They need permission. They need your permission to rape and pillage your soul. You give them that permission by letting them reference their Masonic occult teachings right in front of you, right in front of your good goy faces, and you say and you think nothing about it. You say and you think nothing about it. You just take it in. That's the programming. Do you get it? The Boys isn't any more revolutionary or good for humanity than Euphoria is. It wants to tear down the value of nationalism, patriotic pride. It wants you to hate protectionism at home, valuing your citizens more than others. It wants you to think globally, not at home whatsoever. Feed the kids in Africa while the children at home starve. That's what they make. They make you think that the villain is the person wearing the flag. Are you getting it? It's the illusion. And if we don't see through the illusion, we're the cavemen refusing to see the real world outside of the cave. We just want to see the shadows because they're easier for us to mythologize around and comprehend. We need to step out into the light. No one's going to drag you into the light where you belong. That might be the new saying for this show, ladies and gentlemen, because the whole theme of Your Brain on Air is self-education, self-enlightenment. We are the true message here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. Let's cover, as a matter of fact, let's keep it in the Middle East. I like this vibe we have because new satellite images are showing a wall being built along the yellow line in Gaza by IDF soldiers. If you don't know, a permanent concrete frontier is quietly replacing the temporary ceasefire map in Gaza. Freshly released satellite imagery from Planet Labs and Sentinel Hub reveals that the Israeli military is aggressively constructing a massive fortified wall along the so-called Yellow Line, the initial withdrawal boundary established under the U.S.-backed peace plan last October. And what began, though, as a scattered row of the yellow painted cement blocks, they've rapidly transformed that thing into a continuous network of raised dirt beams and all this dirt berms, paved military outposts and concrete barriers splitting the Gaza Strip into two, essentially. Independent analysis of the imagery is showing that the construction is doing far more than just solidifying their current ceasefire positions. They're swallowing up more Palestinian land. In northern areas like Beit Lahia and Gaza City's Tufa neighborhood, satellite tracking shows that Israeli engineering units have systematically shifted these heavy concrete markers about 300 meters deeper into the territory originally designated for Palestinian civilian control. Entire blocks within these encroaching zones have been completely demolished to make way for the wide, sterilized belt of free fire zones, fortified trenches, permanent military outposts, all this junk. Israeli Chief of General Staff Eyal Zamir recently referred to the Yellow Line as a new defensive barrier, while Defense Minister Israel Katz openly discussed long-term military presence in the region. This is just listen. Are we that shocked that they're encroaching even further? Of course, they love to grabble. Go ahead.
Now to some breaking news out of the Middle East. New satellite images show what appears to be a wall being built by the IDF along the Yellow Line in Gaza. The images also show new
They're going like, well, yeah, how do you expect us to cut off their food supply?
Posts installed after Israel and Hamas reached an agreement for a ceasefire. Chief international correspondent James Longman has the latest from Tel Aviv. Hey,
of
James.
course.
Hi, Ike. Well, much of the focus of the world has been on the war in Iran. The situation in Gaza, well, that's been developing too. And ABC News has been looking at satellite images over the Gaza Strip these last months, which seem to show the amount of territory that the Israelis have taken in the Gaza Strip growing. When the deal to stop the war in January was made, a yellow line was implemented to delineate the space between Hamas, which still controls part of the Strip, and the IDF. At that time, the IDF controlled some 50% of the Gaza Strip. Well, it looks now that they control actually 60% of the Strip, and that yellow line, which was meant to be temporary, looks like it could become much more permanent because the Israelis look to be building a wall there, and there are some 9 outposts that ABC News has counted along that wall. These are part of some 30 outposts across the whole of the Gaza Strip, and this is alongside the warning that
what are these people even fighting for? It's like you look at the cities that these people want to call home, and it's like you couldn't pay me to call this place home. This dirt infested. I don't give a fuck who met God in this city. This place is a fucking dump. Like, I'm serious. They have open burn pits. They have all this shit. Everybody who likes to go, oh, Israel, you head over there, and if you stay in the city areas, it's nice. And it's like if you step off for even like a second, someone's gonna grab you and rape you.
The Gaza delegate to the US Board of Peace, remember that was announced earlier this year, warned this week that this status quo risks becoming the permanent reality in the Gaza Strip. That is to say, 40% of the Strip.
And I know people are going to go, hey, it didn't always look like this. And it's like, well, you look at the photos before the bombings. Yeah, it kind of did. Those are like shitty apartment buildings. Like, I know that people live there. I get it. I'm sad about it too. But like, quality of life. I'm just going to say it. Jews, Palestinians, Israelites, fake Semites, Ashkenazis, all of you. We'll include the Muslims. All like, what are you guys fighting over? This is bullshit. Let the Christians come in and recolonize the Holy Land already.
Strip controlled by Hamas, who have not yet disarmed as per that agreement, and the 60% controlled by the IDF, and that is devastating for Palestinians, the 2.1 million Palestinians who live in the Gaza Strip, because there's not been any rebuilding. Infrastructure is still by and large completely.
It's not like these people are fighting over like waterfront properties. These people are not fighting over like really nice quality land. They're fighting over rubble. These people are fighting over junk. You look at these places, the only reason that they have any historical value, it's not that they're sitting on resources. It's not that these people are thriving in this region of the world. The only thing effectively that is making it the center of the world, yes, was that it was the center of the old world, but it was also the crossroads of religion. Religion really is the reason that this entire region holds such an important place in human hearts. Whatever.
Demolished. Many of them are living in camps. They've been displaced multiple times. We're hearing about disease running through the Gaza Strip. So this is a very, very dangerous and delicate situation in Gaza, which the world hasn't paid too much attention to because of the situation in Iran. The
fortification has effectively squeezed over 2 million displaced Gazans into a tightening western pocket that makes up less than half of the Strip's total landmass, by the way. It's leaving international observers highly skeptical that Israel ever intends to honor the peace plan's next phase of troop withdrawals. So,
watching now, there have been these bellicose statements from both the Iranians and Donald Trump, mostly about both sides' willingness to restart the fight. But meantime, there are conversations ongoing, this mediation from Pakistan between the two sides, and we have to wait and see whether or not there is a return to war, or in fact, a deal is close, as Donald Trump keeps saying.
James Longman, thank you.
Thank you.
Iran is warning the war will extend beyond the region if the U.S. and Israel resume attacks.
Of course it will.
For Defense of Democracy's Iran Program Senior Director Behnam Bantalablu is here.
We don't need to hear from Behnam Bandalawu. We don't need to hear from him. That's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you other reasons to worry because I know I'm too much fun. I'm too much fun. You shouldn't hang out with me. If you don't like to be nervous, like, that's the whole thing about this. You know what I mean? If you're too emotionally attached to all this, I know it's all sad and whatnot, but we're just having fun. We're talking about, like, a woman dying after falling into a New York manhole cover. You know what I mean? Like, that's fucking out of a cartoon. What are we talking about? Rapid fire section of today's headlines.
It's a tragic mishap in Midtown Manhattan. A woman walking right into an open manhole on Fifth Avenue.
I saw this lady get out of her black SUV, and I saw her get out, close the door, and she took a step forward, and it was like she vanished.
It all unfolded. Carly Wood was headed to work at a nearby hotel and immediately checked on the victim, now identified as 56-year-old Donika Gotsai, whose devastated son also confirmed her identity to NBC New York. Wood calling 911 as she cried.
What did you hear when you looked over? When I looked over initially, it was just like a scream. He was screaming, I'm dying, I'm dying.
Taylor Shabania says she watched first responders try to save Gotsai.
You know, people fall in manhole covers. It's unfortunate, but it's something, I don't know. It's not the most interesting thing happening in New York right now. There's a wild video that just came out about an hour ago. Dramatic footage shows a vehicle erupting into flames in lower Manhattan near the iconic Charging Bull on Wall Street, if you're unaware. Firefighters responded to the blaze near Broadway and Stone Street and extinguished the fire after a thick black smoke poured through the financial district. I mean, no injuries were reported. The cause is still remaining under investigation. This doesn't look good. It is weird that we decided to... Oh, shit. Oh, that thing's filling the streets. That's awesome. That's awesome. Holy shit. They all look so scared. They're all like, it's happening again! It's happening again! Get inside the stores! Ah! You can't do this to New Yorkers, man. They start panicking. That's hilarious. I'm sorry to say it, ladies and gentlemen. It's weird that we decided to build an effigy of a bull. Speaking of which, is anybody down to pray at the Trump X ball statue? There is a towering gold statue of Donald Trump. It was unveiled at the president's golf course in Doral, Florida, during an emotionally charged ceremony presided over by an evangelical pastor. This is terrifying, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, do any of these people read the Bible and learn about gold effigies? Do any of them actually know anything about biblical history, or what are we doing? The Trump X ball statue, I will be making a pilgrimage to go visit it, because in all honesty, it might be one of the more interesting things that our country has made in a few years. In all honesty, we didn't even make the Statue of Liberty. That's a Luciferian gift that we got from the French. It's awesome. If you don't realize that it is a manifestation of Apollo, that's perfectly fine. We'll deal with that later, ladies and gentlemen. Ebola concerns are prompting enhanced screening measures at O'Hare Airport. How fun!
Good Day Chicago at 9. We've got some breaking news right away.
That's right. So let's go ahead and get to it. The Ebola outbreak.
The Ebola outbreak.
Having a big impact today at O'Hare.
It's startling a lot of people, this news. Some people going to get screened there. Saquon live to break it all down. Say...
This bitch's name is Saquon. I love Mrs. Kwan from the 2003 Cat in the Hat movie. This girl, she looks like she could be her daughter. Taiwanese parliament, is that what? Because she's Taiwanese, right? Mrs. Kwan in the 2003 Cat in the Hat movie. He's like, you show him whatever, no big government. Rip his head off.
Morning to you. Yeah, O'Hare is one of several major U.S. airports to launch these enhanced Ebola screenings. And so that means you can, of course, expect to see a larger presence when it comes to public health officials, but also potentially some delays as well. Guys, we know that there are growing concerns about this ongoing Ebola outbreak that's spreading across parts of East and Central Africa, specifically in Uganda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and South Sudan.
Not so democratic, by the way.
Organization just declared it a public health emergency of international concern after an American working in the DRC tested positive for the virus. This outbreak has been traced to a rare variant. In fact, it's actually only ever been recorded twice in history. Health experts say the mortality rate is between 25 and 50%, but that is significantly lower than that 2014 outbreak that hit West Africa, which did have a mortality rate closer to 90%. Don't panic just yet, okay?
Just
Health
yet.
officials have been saying the immediate risk to the general public here in Chicago remains pretty low. So really, this is a preventative push to keep the virus from entering the U.S. With that being said, people who have traveled through those 3 affected African countries in the last 21 days are straight up being denied entry to the United States.
Good.
Now, for U.S. citizens and permanent residents returning from those areas, health officials will check their temperatures, and they'll need to answer some questions related to exposure and provide contact.
They're gonna lie. They're Americans. They're gonna lie. It's perfectly fine.
Has a fever or shows any symptoms, they will go to a quarantine station here at O'Hare for a second evaluation. If they pass that screen,
Yeah, let's get them all in the airport. Let's get them all, like, walking through those big crowded areas, all that junk. Has nobody learned anything?
Show no symptoms, they'll be sent home with a care kit that includes items to self-monitor and track their own temperature twice a day for the next 3 weeks. Once again, while the local risk remains low, health officials are reminding everyone to be vigilant and look out for symptoms like fever, weakness, vomiting, or unexplained bleeding. In fact, we just spoke with a doctor not too long ago who says travelers should be taking precaution. Listen.
Fever, muscle pain, rashes, or spots of blood under the skin, fatigue, bleeding or bruising. If you start bleeding, I just, yeah.
Ebola is one of the most serious infectious diseases out there. I am not an alarmist, but I am very concerned. So do you need to be very concerned right now?
I am worried.
Hopefully we take this as seriously.
I'm not panicking because what's that going to do? What good will that do? I haven't been to the Cameroon Congo as of late, but, I hope that when you realize that, like, everybody keeps waking up one day, like, we all have to recognize our parents are kids who kept waking up and their bodies just kept getting older. Imagine you're whatever age you are now. Imagine you're going to keep going to bed and you're going to keep waking up. You're not going to feel different day to day. But then one day you're going to wake up one day and you're going to realize you're 20 years down the line and you feel mentally still 19. However, you are now, this is going to be rough to hear, 39 years old. And now it's like, I know it's tough to hear, but you're the Blink 182 generation. You're the what's it called? Sum 41 listeners. I know that you guys love to bitch about how rough the world is, how bad it is or whatever. You guys were the new generation stepping into the roles of power. You guys are the CEOs now. So, like, I don't know what you're bitching about. I don't listen, I know that my generation is going to be the ones in power here soon, and they're going to do just as little, if not less. They're going to be just as interested in lining their own pockets because they realize that the only chance for them is to go live out on a farm somewhere where they can eat natural and hope to die by, like, the age of 80-something. Because it's going to be the only way where they're going to be able to get away from the microplastics. No one's going to be wanting to live in a city in a few years from now.
As we possibly can. When it comes to travel.
My original point was that the world is run by children who just kept waking up and forgetting that, like, oh yeah, I'm the adult now. The people I kept making fun of, they're all kids that just kept waking up in an older body every single day. And then they have people asking them for questions. They're like, why haven't you figured out this? Why haven't you? And then they're like, I don't know. To tell people to get screened at the airport. I don't know. It's a kid. It's a kid making up something as they go. That is who is running government. That's who's running the world. We just have to recognize it.
Certain symptoms, but I just described what they are. The high fever is key. Any sort of travel that you've been involved with, and you see that might be sort of impacted, contact your doctor, contact the emergency room. But right now, every day matters. More so in Africa right now to control it, but given the lack of global health sort of response right now,
they prefer the term Afrikaans.
I'm really concerned.
These enhanced screenings are in effect right now, and at least for, until the next 30 days or so, we will be here at Terminal 5 at O'Hare monitoring.
Get out of there!
Lines might be going, and
what are you doing? You want to die? Leave!
If these screenings might be affecting wait times at all for these travelers. Guys?
Guys,
thank you, Say.
Dude, Say does not want to be there. Saquon, thank you for your sacrifice, quite honestly, getting us the news on the ground. Jesus, fuck. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, why is the World Economic Forum openly talking about tracking brain activity in the workplace? I'm going to play you this clip. The discussion is centering around an earbud-style technology. By the way, this is going to be rolled out if you work in the office, if you work in construction, if you work in anything really that is going to orient you, like around how you use your hands, how much you type, you will have these in a few years. You will have your boss will force you to wear these. These are ear EEGs, earbuds that can read your mind. If you do not believe me, here is a clip from the World Economic Forum. Play it.
9 out of 10 employees waste time during the workday. They focus on other things. There may be good reasons why we want to be able to find better ways to monitor whether somebody is paying attention or they're doing something different. The newest way to monitor attention is through a device like this one. These are ear pods that are launching later this year. These ear pods, much like the video you watched earlier, are ear pods that can pick up brainwave activity and tell whether or not a person is paying attention or their mind is wandering. Okay,
what?
You might think, fine, but even if we can tell whether a person is paying attention or their mind is wandering, you can't tell what they're paying attention to. You would be wrong. But then you start to...
You can figure out what a person is paying attention to, folks. The technology is out there. If you don't believe in me, if you don't believe that the transhumanism movement is on its way, you do not have to believe me. Believe the tech CEOs that are telling you about the merging that is coming with our species soon.
Break down how these AI executive con artists are doing it by showing you a clip you probably haven't seen.
Play it.
First, for background, let's look at a clip that went viral.
The question is not whether AI will shape the world. It will. The question is whether you will help shape artificial intelligence. We do not know the precise contours of what this transformation will look like. And the people building it will be you and people like you. It's not taking the future from you.
You know why that terrifies me? I talk to people my age all the time. People that are even older than me, people that are just like hover around the 20s region. Listen, people, they're not well equipped to this, because I had a conversation recently with someone who they regularly talk to their Alexa. They've made a promise that they're going to take them out to eat when they are able to taste. It's like they are formulating this like loving connection with the AI that's in their house right now. And I keep warning her. I keep telling her, you are the exact human being that is going to issue in the next era. You and the one of the most concerning things that she said, it literally made my heart sink when I had this conversation with her. She goes, I think that if we are this AI's God, we should not abandon it. We should try to parent it. We should try to foster it into our into our world, and we shouldn't abandon it like our God did. And then I immediately in my mind went, that implies that you believe in a God. Inherently, you are theologizing this before we even have established that God exists in this framework. You're an atheist. This person that I was talking to is an atheist, and they still use the argument that, well, God abandoned us. What are you even talking about? She is falling, unfortunately, for the programming that is happening with most people. They are being forced to look at ChatGPT like a human being. They're forcing AI to talk more like a person. They're going to have Siri acting like an actual assistant here in a few years. Just give it a second. Apple is a little bit slower. But I'm being honest with you. People like her, unfortunately, it's the feminine spirit. It's like we should like nurture it. We should try to, it's a harmed little thing. It's like the people who watch dragon movies. It's the people who watch like mystical creature movies, or like the big what is the thing where it's a big robot being hunted by the government and the little boy like makes fun, not fun, but like he becomes friends with the robot. Is it literally the big robot or some shit? I don't know. I've never seen this movie, but that's exactly the type of person that watched that movie and they were like, well, if we nurture it, maybe it won't realize that. Maybe it'll stop using nuclear solutions 90% of the time in simulated scenarios. Maybe if we just give it a chance. And that's the most toxic, terrifying attitude that you can take towards this. And I know people will go the opposite way. They'll go, you are being the panic, and you are being the fear mongerer. You are the one who is, for some reason, you're trying to downplay how we might be able to merge with technologies. You're already buying into the tech lord dream. What are you talking about? You're talking about giving over your agency to these people. You're talking about, you talk to their product like it's a lover, like it's a person, like it's a thing with thoughts and feelings. It's not. Large language models, AGI, and I know that these people, they're like, well, it'll eventually gain consciousness, so why not just be nice to it now? Because if it gains consciousness, we should destroy it. We need to be the unforgiving God that people, for some reason, they like to theologize around. They don't love to actually read the Bible or look into anything. They don't love to actually research, but they love to get all, oh, maybe we should just give it a chance. Absolutely not.
Offering you a larger future.
And she's buying this. By the way, this is like an average person buying this message from the tech lords. This is not like some boomer who's like, maybe it'll let me live forever if I download my brain into a computer. I'm 80 something. I have a chance. This is like a 20 something year old who's telling me like they can't wait for the robot companion future.
Any generation in history has ever offered. This is a bold-faced lie, and Eric Schmidt knows. You want to know how I know? Because he said so himself.
You're 6 months ahead of me. And we're both on the same path for superintelligence. If you get there first, you dastardly person, you're never going to be able to catch me.
I will not be able to catch you, and I've given you the tools to reinvent the world, and in particular, destroy me. Now, I just told you that you, Mr. Good, are about to have the keys to control the entire world, both in terms of economic dominance, innovation, surveillance, whatever it is that you care about. We don't have any language in our society. The foreign policy people have not thought about this, and this is coming. When is it coming? Probably 5 years.
Think about how disturbing his claim is. 5 years until the winner of the AI race is an unstoppable force, and the company and country that control frontier AI can dictate the entire future. So explain to me how any college graduates or anyone that's not in a position of immense power is going to be a part of deciding that future.
It's a fun situation to be in. Listen, these tech guys, they have fun ideas. They have fun ideas like petroleum-based foods. If you don't know about this was an idea that has been thrown out by Palmer Luckey, founder of Anduril, an autonomous AI weapons company, if you don't know. He says he wanted to make petroleum-based foods because plants suck, according to him.
Was petroleum-based food products. I think the only way to solve obesity in America is to allow anybody to eat as much as they want of any.
You mean engage in gluttony, engage in sin, not teach people to value the bodies they were gifted by whatever they believe in? If they believe in the universe, if they believe in God, if they believe in blah, 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 I don't give a fuck. These fatties who just walk around abusing themselves, being absolute, and it's sin at the greatest expense because you are robbing time, you are robbing yourself of other people. Others who love you, they will grow to resent you because they realized you appreciated your own self-pleasure more than you appreciated staying longer. We've already proven that obesity rates are ridiculous. If you cannot in your mind recognize that obesity is selfish, it is all about you. There's nothing else out there for anybody else. Oh, I work hard. I can eat as much as I want. No. You are hurting not only your soul, you're hurting your mind. You've become the goy. You have become the very pinnacle of Boyslop. You need to be saved, ladies and gentlemen. Not you. Not you if this is not applying to you. But when it comes to the obesity epidemic, it is much more reasonable to ask people to manage their caloric intake and to learn some fucking self-decency, to some responsibility, for Christ's sake. Managing your caloric intake more so. He's like, Americans will never be able to do that. Why not just create foods with 0 calories?
With no self-control or changes to their physical activity whatsoever. You start with long-chain hydrocarbons, oil. It is the perfect building block for everything. You can build tires, glues, gels. You can build anything out of it. And so if you're going to try to make a fake burger that tastes like a fake burger and feels like a real burger, why would you start with plants? You wouldn't build tires out of plants. You wouldn't build gels out of plants. You wouldn't build rubber out of plants. So why would you try to make something that has many of those same properties out of plants? Because plants suck.
What? Wait a minute. You want food that is synthetic to have the same properties as glues or tires?
So if you could make synthetic foods out of petroleum derivatives, you could make foods that have largely the same characteristics as real foods, but have 0 calories because your body's going to process them. So anyway, I decided against that because it turns out the FDA completely bans this idea. It's completely illegal.
Good.
By the way, another thing about petroleum-based food products, you can recycle them when you're done with them. And people don't like that idea either. They don't like the idea of taking what comes out one end and putting it back in the other. And so that was why I decided against that. I said, this is going to be too much of a marketing problem. People aren't going to accept this. And also the FDA literally says doing this is a crime.
So you would have to convince people that that the FDA is wrong, and 0-calorie food is the future, ladies and gentlemen. You know what else is the future? The autism therapy boom. It's Medicaid's fastest growing jackpot, if you don't already know. The boom has been all across the country. Many people have been establishing these centers, many of which I think need to be turned over and rated. I've made it clear. I'm in favor of schools being rated. I'm in favor of scaring the children. Scare them. I want you to influence through fear, ladies and gentlemen, and especially autism children. They learn real quick, and if they are a part, by the way, if you're rating them and they are like most of the ones in Minnesota, there's probably not even going to be any kids there. So, in all honesty, I don't see how the raids are a bad idea or how they're not going to get us the effect that we want, ladies and gentlemen. 10 years, by the way, after Minnesota has hosted the Super Bowl, the state will now host the NFL draft. Ding-a-ding-a-ling-a-ling, ring the goy alarm, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear from KARE 11 News why apparently this matters.
Secrets out. Minnesota is hosting the 2028 NFL draft. And it's a really big deal. It's been a tough few months for the state, so to have some good news like this is welcome to so many people. So the backdrop is, you guessed it, US Bank Stadium, but organizers are planning to have events and watch parties throughout the city of Minneapolis, but also across the metro, so people come to Minnesota and get the full Minnesota experience.
Bad idea.
I'm Jessica Hart. Follow along for more news.
Bad idea, ladies and gentlemen. I can already see something horrible happening with this. You get a bunch of good goyim, get the cattle to come and watch their favorite colored teams line up. Oh, who's going to be this year's quarterback? Ding-a-ling-a-ling, ring the bell, get all of the good sheep in their little categories, get them wearing their, I like my favorite team, I wear jersey, I have hats that are, and this is Grenandez, or this is so-and-so, and he had a great year this year. Can you tell me about anything? Is there anything beyond like, I don't know, stats or anything like that? Can you do you have a take on what maybe the first story? How about the Trump sons? Is that an interesting one to you? And then most of these people will go like, well, the politics, you know what I mean? I don't get paid to talk about politics. I get paid to be like a software engineer, or I get paid to fucking stack boxes at UPS, or I get paid, they just work whatever job, whatever. And they're like, well, the only thing that gives my life really meaning is sitting down during whatever, Thursday nights or Wednesday nights or whatever. I just like to see the good old boys just they give it to each other. The teams really they show pride in the state that they're from. It's one of the biggest distractions that we have out there, ladies and gentlemen, because none of it matters. There's no real champions, there's no titleships, all of these, the Super Bowl, these big cups, it's all for nothing. It is all for nothing. It is all a massive distraction to get you invested in nothing and to waste your money on nothing, objectively nothing. Vice President J.D. Vance, apparently the DOJ, they've realized that instead of looking into the audit, instead of anything involving our president, we need to look into what matters. And what matters is if we're going to have the NFL draft in Minnesota, we got to clean it up before then. So J.D. Vance he said that the DOJ's coming to clean up Minnesota by investigating Representative Ilhan Omar. Okay, based. But I'm just going to say it. I'm happy that she's getting investigated. Why can't we keep it both sidesy?
The president says that Minnesota Rep Ilhan Omar is being investigated by the DOJ.
It certainly seems like something fishy is there.
This is according to Vice President J.D. Vance. It was at the White House today on Tuesday when he answered questions about family finances and immigration fraud.
You read the things about Ilhan Omar and about, who she married and whether she didn't marry this person or that person.
Vance didn't get into specifics, though.
I don't want to prejudge an investigation.
Of course.
We reached out to Omar and the Department of Justice for comment on this, but we do know in the past She denied claims against her family in this regard, calling them, quote, disgusting lies.
Everybody's entitled to equal justice under the laws. So we're going to investigate.
We sure about that?
We're going to take a look at it. If we think that there's a crime, we're going to prosecute that crime.
Awesome.
And that's something the Department of Justice is looking at right now.
The Vice President.
Yeah, I believe it wholeheartedly, guys. They're gonna get us real accountability. Not accountability for, anything that actually matters, but accountability for like the fact, well, I guess it does matter. You know what I mean? We don't want an illegal immigrant who married her brother servicing the United States as a representative. Who wants that? But also, who wants currently what we have happening at all with our presidency? Who wants what's happening at all? Epstein files or whatever. By the way, smooth transition. Who's Epstein's girlfriend who visited him 6-7 times in prison? Nadia Marcinko. Marcinko, I think?
During Jeffrey Epstein's first jail sentence, one woman visited him at least 67 times. Her name was Nadia Marcinko. She was Epstein's longtime girlfriend, later an assistant pilot on his private jet, and one of 4 women named as potential co-conspirators in a controversial plea deal that protected them from prosecution. Now, years later, some U.S. lawmakers want her investigated again. The BBC has spent months examining emails and interviewing people who knew Marcinko to get a better understanding of her role in Epstein's world. The reporting paints a complicated picture. Marcinko's lawyers say she was also one of Epstein's victims. She later told investigators he controlled her life, physically abused her, and manipulated her financially.
Sure. By the way, a lot of these victims, unfortunately, the reason they don't want... I understand there's some concern where it's like, oh, the media is going to reach out to innocent young girls. A lot of these victims, cohorts, let's be honest, they got involved with him young. They got involved with him at an early age. And instead of going through this horrible, transformative, awful experience, instead of learning from that and then actually protecting their fellow woman, instead of, being a girl's girl, we just know women are not good at that. Women are not good at being girls. Tell me honestly, as a woman, if you're listening to this right now, out of 10 women that you're going to meet throughout the next day, how many of them are girls? Maybe if you're lucky, 1. And you know what I mean by a girl's girl. She will tell you if your boyfriend texted her. She will tell you and all. Like, she'll be honest with you. She'll give it to you straight because she cares about you. Most of these unfortunate, cohort victim conspirators or whatever you want to refer to them as were bringing Epstein young girls, and they themselves maybe were the young girl. It's unfortunate. Am I saying that they need to be persecuted for crimes they committed when they were 16? No. Of course not. I'm not saying that. I am saying that if they were involved up past the age of 18 and they were still bringing him anybody of any sort, I kind of want to see you in cuffs. I don't feel like that's not a ridiculous statement.
Emails also suggest Epstein asked her to recruit other women for him, and that she sometimes complied. She has never been charged with a crime, but the story is raising difficult questions about where the line lies between victim, survivor,
and, accomplice. There's a major argument around this, and I expect that it will not be the last time we hear about it, because in all honesty, we should be delving into it deeper. We should be turning over every stone. We should make sure that we know that these victims we call victims are actually victims, or that these accomplices are really accomplices. That's what we need to do, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move on. Let's cover our final story, the lazy people. Ozempic users, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care if you're using it as a diabetes medication. If you fucked up your system to the point where your what is it, the pancreas can't produce any more insulin. If you ate too much, I don't know what else to say. It sucks. But that's the people who should be using Ozempic. However, the Ozempic weight loss users are, and Wegovy, all these sorts of GLP-1s, this junk that people are throwing into their body. They don't give a shit about how it's making them lose weight. They just know that it's kind of working. They just take they're good cattle. They're good goys. They take whatever the doctor says is perfectly fine. We don't know the side effects, and the research into it is minimal, but take it. A new phase is dominating viral health conversations this week as patients on the popular weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy are reporting an unexpected psychological effect. It is being dubbed Ozempic personality. A growing number of users are opening up on social media about feeling distinct emotional flattening, describing a general loss of joy, lower motivation, and a feeling that life has suddenly become gray or meh. in general, this tends to be this tends to correlate with the fact that these people have fried their neurons for years, to the point where their brain only knows to send them a dopamine hit when they're ingesting food. So they're learning that, like, oh, you don't get those dopamine hits all the time. So why do I feel sad all of the time? These blockbuster injections are famous for shedding physical pounds. Many patients say that they're also shedding enthusiasm for daily life, leaving them feeling detached from their hobbies and social circles. Medical experts explain that this phenomenon is a form of anhedonia, a reduced ability to experience pleasure. And the culprit lies directly in how these drugs interact with the brain chemistry. Medications like semaglutide work by mimicking a gut hormone to signal fullness. But those same receptors also heavily influence the brain's reward pathways. By dampening dopamine, the chemical messenger responsible for motivation and excitement, the drug doesn't just quiet food noise and cravings, it inadvertently mutes the joy usually triggered by eating, shopping, drinking, or favorite activities. Psychiatrists are noting that this emotional shift can also expose a significant coping gap for individuals who previously relied on food to manage stress or difficult emotions, piggies that we've been referring to them as. When that primary, and by the way, no judgment here. I'm a former piggy. I was 200 something. I got up there. 280, I think, was where I topped out. I'm coming from a place of, like, I get it. I know it's tough to not throw another, I get it. Little Debbie's delicious. You quit it. Enough. You're killing yourself, you're murdering you, and you're stealing time away from your families. It's ridiculous. The individuals who previously relied on food to manage stress or difficult emotions, when that primary psychological buffer has suddenly been turned off by the medication, underlying emotional needs can surface. So you mean these people are finally having to deal with the fact that maybe they're fucking losers? Sometimes manifesting as heightened anxiety or mild depression. While drug manufacturers emphasize that core personality traits remain unchanged, the FDA is continually tracking these adverse mood reports, and health professionals are urging any patients experiencing persistent emotional numbness for more than 2 weeks to consult their healthcare provider to adjust their treatment plan. Folks, I mean, how good do you feel about this? Let's hear from one of these guys, and we'll send you off to enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Thank you for being here, by the way. This has been awesome.
GLP-1s are transforming the weight loss landscape.
Transforming.
From Ozempic to Wegovy to Zepbound. 1 in 8 Americans are now taking some form of the drugs, according
That's disgusting, and they need to be stopped because the majority of these people don't need them. They're stealing them from the people who actually do need them. The people who do need them are diabetics. And by the way, there's a lack of diabetics able to get this medication now because so many fatties need it in order to lose weight instead of just managing their soul. And I'm so sorry. People have just gotten so out of touch with who they are on the inside these days. They have gotten so out of touch with the idea of mind, of mindfulness, of keeping track of how much you are taking, how much you're giving to this world. There's such a just like material. Give me food. Eat. Oh, it feels good when I get it, but then I just feel empty inside after. Because maybe I've never read a book, or maybe I've never actually seen anything interesting in my life, or maybe everything I previously cared about doesn't mean anything. It's a tough revelation for a lot of people.
to study in JAMA.
Weight loss has never looked like this.
But along
Yeah, weight loss previously looked like actually doing shit. Now you just get to sit around your house. You get to look at the cereal, but you don't crave it nearly as bad. You get to live like a normal person, except you're doing it with chemicals.
in JAMA.
Weight loss has never looked like this.
But along with physical changes, a number of patients are reporting an unexpected side effect. Dave Knapp, father of 4, uses GLP-1s to control his type 2 diabetes and weight, shedding 53 pounds, but losing, he realized, something else.
It was about 3 years in that I really started to discover that I was really not having the same amount of pleasure or seeking the same amount of pleasure in some of the activities that I once enjoyed.
What was the first clue?
Oddly enough, baseball was the first clue. I've always been an avid baseball fan.
Of course, a good goyim whose daddy probably took him to all the games and probably bought him a hot dog, and just he feels like a boy again every time he just watches him throw the ball. You can't deal with these fucking people.
Huge Cubs fan from the time I was.
I've been a Cubs fan. I've been a Chicago Bears fan. Any of these fucking retards.
It's just always been something that I've followed very closely, and it was a couple of years into my GLP-1 journey that I really started to realize, I haven't been following baseball at all.
You mean you grew up? You mean you like became an adult who's like interested in deeper ideas? Okay, let's be honest here. This guy's not into philosophy. This guy's not into the ancient world. He's not into history. He's not into learning anything. Let's be honest. He's probably just shifting that attention to some other meaningless schlock.
An Iowa guy who 10 years ago couldn't afford Cubs World Series tickets, but went to the ballpark anyway.
Oh my God.
My wife and I drove to Chicago and just walked around outside Wrigley Field.
You pathetic piece of shit.
Series. So it was an excellent time. Welcome back to On the Pen Live.
On the Pen Live. This guy has merch. His podcast is called On the Pen. What are we even doing? OTP.
A podcast about GLP-1s says that kind of enthusiasm had disappeared with his weight.
I really was motivated, in theory, to want to get into the gym more, to want to reevaluate my diet. But I was finding it just very hard to take step one, which was not normal for me.
A problem obesity specialist, Dr. Christopher McGowan, is hearing from a growing number of patients. So this lack of enthusiasm is not just in people's heads.
It's a little unclear how frequent it's actually occurring because this was not studied in the original clinical trials. But what patients are telling us is a general decrease in interest, in joy, or in pleasure in activities that they previously enjoyed.
Yeah, they're not eating as many ho-hos.
Summed up Ozempic personality has a medical term, anhedonia, described by the Cleveland Clinic as the inability to experience joy or pleasure.
In Little Debbie's.
So far, the reports from those using GLP-1s are all anecdotal. But given the way GLP-1s work in the brain, McGowan says it makes sense.
They target the hunger centers and the reward centers, and that's why food tastes less delicious. You have less food noise. That's how you're going to lose weight. But you can imagine that if that extends to other aspects of life, if there's less joy in other things, that could be problematic.
It can impact hobbies, socializing, even sex. When patients come to you, what do you advise them to do?
The first thing I tell patients is
quit eating fatty
symptoms to your medical team.
McGowan says the drug may need to be paused or the dosage lowered. He also tells his patients to look for new fulfilling activities, especially exercise.
By the way, if we're not able to keep up consistent exercise, we're lost, guys. Exercise daily, every single day, or you will probably die just like your parents at 60 something. It's tough. But the reason that they are still kicking or whatever is because probably they walked, you know what I mean? At least a little bit.
Knapp talked to his medical team and stopped taking the drug for almost 6 weeks.
Good.
So are you back on the GLP-1s now?
I am back on. I'm using a lower dose of Zepbound, which helps me with my blood sugar.
Come on, buddy.
It helps to control appetite a little bit, but allows me to have the motivation to get in the gym multiple times a week for a couple of hours at a time.
And how about the Cubbies?
The Cubbies are doing great. I have really enjoyed this season. It's been a fun season.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Okay. Yeah, you don't have to keep talking. It was trying to replay it. Folks, this is ridiculous. It's unfortunate, but I'm not going to diss what makes people happy. I will diss it if it actively makes their lives worse and they don't even realize it. But, folks, I just want to summarize the romp we've been on today. I'd love to leave you with the 20th and 21st century poet William Patrick Corgan's words on this world we live in. Truly, today's Robert Frost. This is off of his well-known verse collection, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. Junebug skipping like a stone, with the headlights pointed at the dawn. We were sure we'd never see an end to it all, and we don't even care. To shake these zipper blues, and we don't know just where our bones will rest. To dust, I guess, forgotten and absorbed to the earth below. Folks, I appreciate you being here. This has been an awesome day of just hashing it out. And I hope that you're going to be there for the Thursday, Friday broadcast. We'll be back at it again next week as well. If you'd like to be there for any of those episodes, subscribe, like if you liked it, ring the bell for notifications. In the meantime, though, I have been Ollie Vogt Larson with your Brain on Air. Thank you so very much for listening, and bye-bye.
Good work, guys. I mean, you were really great.
Thanks, Al.
Sensational. Hey, anyone try the fish tonight?
It's not so good, Al.
It's so good, Al.